Every day I'm hustling, 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 every day I'm hustling.
I guess we have the intro.
And we are back. Yeah, we are back after a completely nondescript amount of time, which is anywhere.
Where were we at?
We were at 40. We left off at 40. So my number 40.
Say 40, or did we leave 40 left?
We were kind of approaching. I think the actual number that I left off at was 39, because we were just sort of like talking in like groups of 3, more or less, at that point. So for me, like the last 10 have gone Nurkic, Lou, Capella, Covington, Drummond, Adams, Levine, Booker, Buddy, Miles, and then Trey and Mitchell are 40 and 39. And I definitely regret not putting Trey ahead of Donovan Mitchell, because the Jazz are not very good with Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell right now.
Well, I don't think that's Donovan Mitchell's fault. I think it's mostly Mike Conley's fault. How does that feel, watching that as a Grizzlies fan?
I mean, it definitely doesn't feel good. I want to see Mike succeed, but I totally get it. I mean, he's just been in Memphis for so long and playing with the same group of guys, Mark especially, for so long.
Well, this is more than just him trying to adjust and it not going well. This is like, what the fuck is going on with you type of shit.
Yeah, I mean, between the perfect sphere dread bun that he made for his team photo, and then starting the year like 3 for 36 from the field or some fucking shit like that, it's definitely been sour for Mike and the Jazz, which makes that trade that happened mid-recording yesterday make all the more sense with getting a little bit more
point guard
offense.
version of Larry Markkinen.
Incredibly underwhelming. Who do you have for 40?
Well, I thought I was at 38 or 39 now.
Oh yeah, just 39.
Okay, so I had Tobias Harris.
Oh, okay, that's cool, because I had Tobias at 38, so that works out perfectly. So I would say that's actually like a perfectly fair.
Yeah, and I had Drummond at 38.
Yeah, I wish I had Drummond higher. I was pretty dumb to put him all the way down at 46, honestly. I don't know why.
Drummond is a weird player. Oh, you're not going to like who I have next.
Okay, all right. Before we go into who we have next, I did want to say that Tobias Harris is like definitively the most tradable NBA player of all time. Like, I would not be surprised at all if the Sixers managed to trade him. I mean, sure, he has a max contract, but like, he was traded 4 times before he was 26.
Maybe, but you can't say he's the most tradable player making $38 million. No player with that contract is that tradable. LeBron James is not the most tradable player in the league.
Right. No, yeah, I get it. I didn't mean exactly like right now in this context. I meant like historically. It's just funny because like his archetype of a player who is good enough on the small stuff and, average to above average at scoring and is generally pretty smart. That borderline all-star that's nothing incredibly remarkable but is worth getting paid. It's like a zone of player that all the way up until he gets that max contract is so hyper tradable that I don't know if Philly is going to want to ride out that whole contract or not, even if it's through the year, to develop a little bit more depth if these troubles continue. But I honestly don't foresee that happening even a little bit. It would be cool though. That's all I'm saying. So who is your?
I think they should just trade Ben Simmons and Al Horford, but they probably can't trade Al Horford.
That's gross. We'll get to those when we get up to the list.
I've said this before. I think I said this on the podcast earlier when we brought up Ben Simmons. Like, I think Ben Simmons is just a horrible fit in Philly. I think it's best for both sides that they part ways. Although I don't know where the perfect trade is there. My logic is probably the only trade that makes sense is like a few years from now, Damian Lillard gets traded from Portland. But that's it. That's the only thing that I can think of logically. I mean, maybe there's a case for D'Angelo Russell, but I don't think D'Lo is good enough for that to be worth it, or for the
especially fit in comparison to Ben Simmons. Jesus, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
D'Lo is so
Ben
much worse
Simmons
than
is
Ben
a lot
Simmons.
better, but D'Lo fits a lot better. So that's a debate of talent versus fit. I don't know. I wouldn't make that trade unless well, Golden State doesn't have much assets to give back. Maybe if they gave me D'Lo and their draft pick this year, but they're not going to do that. And Ben Simmons and Draymond Green sounds like a nightmare.
You got just like the really, really emotional version of Ben Simmons, and then just like the really, really calm version of Draymond Green.
Yeah, and two
just
of those
each other.
players on the same team does not work. But at 37, I had Kyle Lowry.
You're right. I don't
I would
love
definitely put him higher based off of how he's played this year and how he fucking destroyed Dallas.
it. Yeah, man. Kyle Lowry is going to get into the Hall of Fame, and every faithful casual is going to be like, what the hell? I thought this guy was a joke. But nah, he's a Hall of Fame point guard. I love Kyle Lowry. I got him like 9 slots ahead of you.
Kyle Lowry kind of like almost reminds me of Tony Parker. I don't know if that makes sense. Like
No,
in terms
I mean,
of like
a perfectly vibey sense, no thought put behind it. I'm like, yeah, I see what you're saying.
like he is a guy who makes a lot of sense, but also isn't like a standout player. He's definitely very valuable, but like no one's like ever. Not too many people are like, I'm a Kyle Lowry stan. Like no one's a Tony Parker stan.
Yeah, unless you're from San Antonio.
But they're winning players, and they're really undervalued at times. And I think Tony Parker might end up being one of the most underrated players of all time.
Yeah, that's probably fair. Because like, he's probably going to be more associated with Popovich and Duncan rather than like having his own legacy. Or perhaps, I don't really think anybody is making the case that Tony Parker elevated those guys. But I think that's entirely possible.
Yeah, I just saw who I have after Kyle Lowry, and I'm ashamed.
Well, at 37, I have Lauri Markkanen. We've already talked about how underwhelming he's been. Who's your 36?
Damn, you put him higher than Levine?
Yeah, I thought he would be the best player on the team.
Yeah, okay, if you're basing it off projections, then yeah. I don't think Lowry will ever be better than Zach LaVine, unfortunately. And that's sad because I don't think Zach LaVine's going to be that great, but I just think Lowry is too limited by his lack of creating ability individually. He really needs to be set up to score. Zach LaVine can score set up or on his own. And both of those guys are not too valuable outside of their scoring ability, so I would have to give that edge to Zach LaVine. But the guy that I had after Kyle Lowry, and is really stupid in hindsight, is De'Aaron Fox. I love De'Aaron Fox, but he's not on Lowry's level right now. Oh my god, dude, why the fuck?
I got Fox higher up too. I got him in the Lowry type of rankings, but he's been really bad this year.
Okay, but my opinion on the next guy has dropped so significantly since this video. And I don't know what flip switched, but I have this guy ranked too high. I should have had him around where I have Kevin Love.
All right, well, I'll get my number 36 out right quick, and then we can get to him when he's actually in the correctly slotted area. But my number 36 is Luka, and he definitely needs to be way fucking higher. So we'll put that off until we get to your spot for him.
I think I had Luka in my late 20s.
Yeah, so we're getting close. So who's your 36?
Fucking DeMar DeRozan.
God, yeah.
I have DeRozan Kyle
at 30.
Lowry. That's bad.
Yeah. That's
such a
2015 take.
I think DeRozan's in the 50s.
Right now. Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
he actually
it
had
sucks. He stopped getting better when he went to the Spurs, man. It's like he was like, man, this whole getting better every summer thing is not worth it.
The best year of his career in San Antonio the first year. That's what's weird. But like, I just don't think...
You say the best year. I say that year when he gave up on shooting threes. I mean, it's like, I would much rather him shoot worse and take 300 threes than take 7.
31% on 3 attempts a game like 2 years ago. And it's like, dude.
Yeah.
That was a step. It was a baby step, but it was a step. And then you just stopped again. But like DeRozan, he's a relic of the past, and I don't think he can really win you games. If he played in the early 2000s, he would be like a legend, but he doesn't play in the early 2000s. And that's not a knock on players who played in the early 2000s. That's just the game that was played. But if you take those guys and then have them play exactly like they did then, it's a problem.
Yeah, precisely. Play styles change over time. rules, the zeitgeist in general. It's definitely not a knock. I mean, DeMar DeRozan is a LA kid, grew up watching Kobe, built his game around Kobe. He said this, publicly.
I mean, I
talked about wanting to play in
exactly like Kobe, so
yeah, who doesn't want to play like Kobe?
Except fat and white.
It's like you and
shoot
Dylan
way
Brooks.
way too many pull-up mid-range shots, way too many fadeaways. I even walk like him when I'm playing basketball, which is really lame, but I do.
You gotta get in the headspace, man. Mamba mentality.
I grew up idolizing the man. What do you want from me? Who do you have at whatever number that is?
Yeah, at 35, I have Chris Middleton. You had DeRozan for 36. So who is your 35?
Chris Middleton.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. All right. Bingo. We finally did it.
That's the first
I think we've
one
come
that we
very
had
close.
exactly the same spot. Yeah, we've had like 3 guys who are right next to each other in our rankings, but I had Chris Middleton.
It's funny because I don't know the name and him being just kind of in the middle of it all. And then I don't know. It's lame, but I like it.
I had
30.
Next I had Pascal Siakam, who's definitely higher now. But
Yeah,
this
yeah.
wasn't really
I had
based on
Kristaps
future projection.
Porzingis. Yeah, yours was based on basically where they stand at the end of the year. Mine's based on future projections.
There was a little bit of future projection in there. There was a little bit of future projection in there.
You can't help but be influenced by how you think it's about to happen, right? It's like that bias is built in.
Yeah, like I placed Luka a little higher than I probably would have if I based it on his rookie season.
Mm-hmm. And see, I personally thought that Luka would just plateau. So I thought that this was as good as he was last year, and this is how good he was.
No one expected what he's doing this year, but I had Luka over guys like Donovan Mitchell and Porzingis and Devin Booker and D'Angelo Russell. Like, I don't think he had a better season than those guys, other than obviously Porzingis. But I obviously put some future projection in there. Yes, for sure.
All right, so 34. I got Porzingis. I think that's way too high for him now. I was just anticipating him being muscular and super good, like Joel Embiid style, come back from injury, But it hasn't been that. He's definitely going to fuck up his knees again because he bends his knees like inward so often. It's begging for them to be just torn apart. So not a Porzingis believer myself.
I had Porzingis even higher. And next I had Draymond Green.
Ugh, God damn. He's so much better than this.
No, he's not. He's really just
perfect opportunity for me to kind of touch on something we talked about before the break. And it's our different opinions on intangibles. I just don't understand. I guess I can understand, but I so strongly disagree with the idea that intangibles can only take you so far. I think they take you further.
Intangibles are very important, but at the end of the day, the game is about getting buckets, and the guys who get the buckets are the best players. That's what it is. Like, if you look throughout NBA history, the top 5 players in the league are pretty much never intangible guys. They might have the intangibles, but that's not things that you give them credit for. Now, I think there's a certain level of scoring that isn't as equal as having a level of intangibles, like Zach LaVine versus Draymond Green. Draymond is a better player because his intangibles are more valuable than LaVine's scoring, but at a certain level of scoring, that ability is more impressive and more important to winning than any level of intangibles. That being said, a player like having an intangibles player is very important, but in terms of ranking them amongst all of these players, the dudes who put the ball in the basket are what are most important. Yeah, and I love Draymond Green's playmaking, and I love his defense, but that only takes you so far in rankings.
No. Okay, so I see what you're saying. Very, very well put, and I agree with the general sentiment. I think the point where my opinion differs most is that while history may not exactly reflect that there's a bunch of hyper intangible guys at the top of the league at any given point, maybe the closest thing you can come up with is probably Bill Russell. I was
going to say Ben Wallace, but I don't think he was in the top
Ben
5
Wallace.
by any means.
God, Ben Wallace is so good. I love Ben Wallace. But even then, it's
Bill
like
Russell
defense.
wasn't just an intangible guy. He averaged like 25 rebounds a game for a few years.
Yeah, and that is the epitome of tangible.
Yeah, that's very fucking tangible.
Yeah. I guess in my mind, it's like, sure, you can have this scoring ability, you know, like a Michael Jordan or LeBron level of dominance that you can just push it towards. You know, obviously those two guys are like on their own playing field, but you know what I'm saying. You know, that's going to overcome all. But if you have like an A grade offensive game, right, and an A grade defensive game, and then like an A plus intangibles / everywhere else, you know, little things game, then I think you very well may be a more important player than the A++ scorer, B+ defender, B+ intangible guy. You know what I'm saying?
All right. Well, fuck. I had a great point and I just lost it. What the fuck?
Guys, quit smoking weed, man.
Okay,
I know
I got it.
Jaylen Brown.
I have not smoked weed before. Fuck you. I'd love to though. Someone give me some weed. Here's the thing. Here's where I think that intangibles become less valuable than just scoring. It is very fucking hard to dominate a game with intangibles. It speaks a lot to how damn good Draymond Green is that he has had games where he dominates with his intangibles, but it's very hard in general to do that. Most games that you consider dominant are when someone dropped 40 points or just completely locked someone down. Yeah,
you're definitely right. I'm glad you were willing to bring up that Draymond is capable of taking over games with his intangibles.
Oh yeah, and when he does, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
he
for
definitely
sure.
does it
if
more
we can agree
in the
on that, then I
playoffs.
think we're mostly in tune here. And our difference of opinion is really more so that, like, in any given moment, Draymond Green could be roughly the 40th best player in the league or the 12th, depending on how just on he is. You know, like it's all about a range of performance. It's not like these rankings are concrete.
You can make that case for just about every player, though. Like,
well, sure, but I mean, I couldn't really argue that Chris Middleton is going to be any worse than 40 or any better than 30. You know, there are guys that have tight ranges.
I'd say Zach LaVine versus Charlotte was the best player in the league that day.
Bingo. Just like how Jordan Clarkson tore up the Grizzlies and got himself traded to a good team.
Do you know how much that game hurt me in a way, though? Because I knew there were 2 games being played in Charlotte this year, and I was like, I could go to 1 or 2 of these things. And I was like, if the Bulls have a great start to this, if the Bulls have a great season, I want to be able to say that I was at the home opener. So I chose the home opener where we lost by 1 point. When I could have gone to that game, and it would have been the greatest fucking basketball game I've ever seen.
I guess now you know, man. You just go to both.
It wasn't really going to work in the schedule. I had to choose one of the 2, but yeah.
Yeah, I understand. So at 33, I got Victor Oladipo with an asterisk.
It's 32 technically, because I just scrolled by the title card, and D'Angelo Russell is my first one after the title card, so he's 32.
Oh, okay. So we're on.
But that's what 32. I had was D'Lo, and I think that's a good guy to compare to Draymond Green, because I think like both of them are phenomenal playmakers. But D'Lo is the great scorer to Draymond's great defense, and I just think that scoring is going to be slightly more valuable than the defense. But I also don't think that edge is that significant. Like, it's very marginal.
Yeah. See, I think that defense is a little bit more of a constant with a great defender, you know? Like, of course, people take plays off on defense, but, like, even if you do everything right on offense, sometimes the shots just don't go in. You know?
Which is not a great feeling.
For sure. And so I sort of feel like less so with like a D'Angelo Russell caliber player. Draymond's ability to take over on defense and with his intangibles is more valuable. But for me,
I might
at
agree
33,
with that. I think I'd probably put D'Lo over him or under him now.
Yeah. So at 33, I got Depot. 32, I have De'Aaron Fox, who we've already touched on a little bit. Who do you have at 31?
30, Devin Booker.
Devin Booker. I do not like Devin Booker. I have Nikola Vucevic. I have Booker all the way down at 43, below Buddy and Trey and Mitchell, Tobias and Middleton.
All right. Well, for what is it, 30, I have a very ripped photo of Kristaps Porzingis.
Right. I mean, that's the player that is supposed to be the 34th through 30th best player in the league is those muscles.
All that muscle for nothing.
Yeah, man. Someone should have just taught him to bend his knees forward instead of sideways, instead of teaching him to lift weights.
I think teams should invest in that kind of stuff more. Like, ever since watching that video by Emio about Derrick Rose's gait, like, I notice that all the time now. And, like, I just think teams should, like, be hiring people to, like, teach. I know it sounds stupid, but, like, teach these players how to walk correctly, because all the wear and tear they go through makes them walk differently, and that's what ends up giving them more wear and tear and more injuries. And if you just had guys on your medical staff who could give these guys physical therapy and tell them how to correct their gaits, I think a lot of players would have longer careers, and a lot of more injury-prone players would have less injuries.
Yeah, it would not surprise me at all if, due to some sort of holistic view on athletic like medicine, I guess is it sports medicine? There we go. Sports medicine. There we go. Like a more holistic view of sports medicine being the norm, where we factor in the day-to-day behaviors like your gait and things like that. Would not surprise me at all to see the average NBA career be expanded by multiple years on average. You know,
I can't wait until we have like 48-year-old dudes in the league.
Dude, LeBron is going to play until he's fucking 45. I'm telling you.
I think he could. That's what's crazy. But also, I think MJ, like, it depends on what you want. Because, like, I think there are some former NBA players who at 50 could be, like, a valuable role player off the bench. Like, I think Kobe Bryant could still come into the league and be, like, a 12-point per game guy on, like, 47% shooting and just be, like, a decent scoring six-man. At, like, he's, like, 42 now. But that's
yeah, in the perfect conditions. I can see what you're saying for sure.
40, what is he, almost 43 now?
God, fucking maybe. Yeah, let's see, how old is Vince Carter? Did you know that Vince Carter is secretly 50 years old? 42. January 26, 1977. So he's 43 in a month.
Yeah, so
that's amazing.
Jesus Christ! Like, I think he could play like 1 or 2 more years.
That's what's crazy, for sure.
So, I think I think the way MJ played on the Wizards when he was 42, like, that guy could still be an NBA player in his 50s. I think if you're that level of talent. But the thing is, with these players' egos, a lot of them don't want to be what Vince Carter is at any point in their career. Like, do you want to ask Kobe Bryant to be a spot-up shooter? I don't think Kobe can handle that.
I really, really desperately want one of those retro Memphis, like, red and white jerseys from a year or two ago in Vince Carter. that would just be perfect. And it is more than a year ago. It was like 2 or 3.
I think LeBron James, this might sound crazy, but I think LeBron James, his vision and his pure freakiness would allow him to play until he's 60. But he would just be like a all right backup power forward at like age 58.
Right, and also the coach and general manager and partial owner.
Yeah,
like, force the NBA to change the rules for him to where he can have an ownership stake and play and coach.
And at that point, all the records are fucked.
Right, it's like, yeah, LeBron's just going for every single NBA record.
LeBron's going to score 80,000 points in his career. Deal with it.
His goal is to be untouched forever. All right, well,
he could
30
fucking
for
do
me.
it. That's just how much influence he has.
He fucking could. My 30th was DeRozan. We already talked about him. Very underwhelming.
Damn, you had higher than me? I felt bad.
I thought he would bounce back and maybe consider taking threes this year, but no, he just got worse. 29 was his mid-range, bro.
I have Donovan Mitchell.
At a 29? Yeah, because I think you had
I don't fucking know. It's whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, so your 29 is Donovan Mitchell. Mine's
after him, I had his
LaMarcus Aldridge.
horrible teammate. I had his horrible teammate Mike Conley.
Yeah. When I watched your video beforehand, I was like, oh wow, someone else also put Mike Conley pretty high up. Thank you.
Yeah, Mike Conley. And we were both wrong.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you're more right than me because mine's predictive in nature, and I'm like, oh yeah, he'll be like the 24th.
One thing that surprised me is just like a few months ago, like I had never actually looked in depth into Mike Conley's stats because who the fuck cares about Mike Conley's stats?
Right.
But I'd always had this vision of him that he was like this mega efficient player, and he just wasn't. Like he had a lot of 42% from the field seasons, and it was kind of disappointing because I always thought he was like in the 47 and 48 area. I don't know what gave me that notion, but it was disappointing to find out that it's not true. And it made me feel like he's less underrated than people say he is.
Well, the thing is that he bared the whole burden on offense, right? And was still completely okay with it. And the team hummed along, and so did just the function of it all. He's just like a really good pure point guard.
Conley is never... I don't think Conley was ever underrated. I just think the competition at point guard is just so ridiculous. Like, I think it's like he's like the point guard Chris Webber. Like, Chris Webber played at the same time as Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, and Kevin Garnett. No way was he going to stand out, even though he was a fucking great player, too. Like, Conley has Dame, right. Curry, Westbrook, Chris Paul, all of those guys. Kemba, like he's not going to stand out amongst those guys.
Yeah. Well, fortunately, he is managing to stand out more than some of these guys who
people are talking about him now.
Yeah. At 28, I have Kyle Lowry, who is doing better than him. Who is your 28th?
CP triple.
Yeah. See, I'm really glad that we get to bring this up here because number one, Kyle Lowry, very much so, way better than CP3. Outright. Just no question about it. Don't even want to, kind of argue that. But number two, we just sort of glazed over my super hot take of Chris Paul being the 55th best player in the league this year as my bold prediction. And frankly, when I was, doing the follow-up research to do this, I was very vindicated when I looked at Chris Paul's numbers and was like, wow, yeah, these are low as fuck.
I thought people overreacted to Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was saying that he was done. Like, no, he wasn't. I can tell you based off what he did against the Bulls that he's not fucking done by any stretch. And then people also have this bad tendency to presume bad contract is bad player or overpaid equals overrated. And it's like, that's just not true at all.
Right. It's not like I can't dock this man's talent because he gets paid more than the guy below him.
And dude, I don't think there's anything in basketball that pisses me off more than people getting angry at players taking big contracts. Like,
yeah, dude, there's already a salary cap. Let them get their fucking money.
Someone offers you $150 million. Are you gonna say no?
Yeah, only if you're Nerlens Noel.
So many Bulls fans hated Dwayne Wade purely because he was overpaid. But I'm like, why are you hating him for a contract that he was given? Like, are you in his shoes? Are you saying no to that contract? And I think people just in general should do better at putting themselves in other people's shoes, but that's a totally different topic.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let's see here. So, Chris Paul, I want to bring up his numbers because I had just a few notables picked out. Like, he has a career low in usage percentage, career low in assist percentage, career low in steal percentage, career low in win shares, and he's only averaging 16 and 6. Like,
you're listing off a lot of numbers that mean practically nothing.
Yeah, I mean, they're all things that are like, relative advanced stat, like kind of bullshitty sounding nonsense. But it's like
that really matters. And I'm not counting true shooting percentage or efficient field goal percentage. Those should just be straight up stats. But like, plus minus is the only stat that matters, but you also have to strongly consider the context of it. And any stat that needs a lot of context behind it, I think also like lowers the value of that stat. Even stuff like points per game and field goal percentage, that stuff needs context. Like everything needs context.
For sure. I think that's the thing with I'm trying to explore this right quick, because I think win shares might be a more appropriate representation of sort of
I don't even understand
bringing
how
in
they
the context. Yeah, that's why I'm reading the fucking basketball reference page on it now to understand like the current version.
They won and they shared it. Boom, win share.
The glossary term on basketball reference is very self-explanatory. It's just the estimated number of wins added by that player to their team. But the thing is, like, how do you calculate that? And it's just like, oh, here is a gigantic ass article explaining all of our fucking math. And it's like, this doesn't really scale well to pod content if I don't already have a deep understanding of this.
I ultimately value the eye test the most. The only reason I really list off stats in my videos is to A, back up my points, and B, it fills time and it's very easy to write. Just listing off
it's
numbers.
Like establish a baseline of reality.
Yeah.
No, I test over fucking stats every time.
Where people go in my comments like, "Oh, you're just talking about stats." But I'm like, "No, I'm just trying to get this video to 10 minutes, homie."
I just gotta start stretching those outros to max it out every time. Have a 10-minute, 1-second video every time. So at 27, I got Big Al. I love Al Horford in this spot. I think it's an appropriate ranking.
The correct spelling of Drew Holiday.
Drew.
That's how Drew should always be spelled. It's way better.
Yeah, man. Like, Drew is fucking weak. Like, I love Drew Gooden on YouTube. He's a cool dude. He's the only Drew I've ever known with a D. That's cool. Drew with a J is 10 times cooler.
I should probably not show this clip to my brother named Drew.
Man, fuck that kid.
That's the whole reason I said that.
So Drew is definitely not that good this year. I wish he was. I thought him and Lonzo would feed off each other really well, and I was dead wrong. That Drew is looking awful this year.
I'm not surprised by that, because Drew's never been a great three-point shooter. He's always been a respectable one.
Yeah, guy who takes him and makes it enough of the time. That's it. But I mean, he has that ability to turn it on defense. My thing is that like he's talked about it in the past a lot before, is that he doesn't want to be alone in the backcourt. Like when he had Rondo, he was super happy because on any given play on offense or defense, he could take it off and not feel terribly too responsible for any downfall on his team because he has another guard there to back him up. But when he's all alone, like he apparently is because Lonzo sucks. Yeah. He would be great on the Bulls, actually. That'd be an awesome trade. At 26, I have CJ McCollum. What do you have?
No shit. I have CJ McCollum too.
Yeah. Let's go. We got those two guards on lock. Yeah. All right. CJ McCollum is like one of those king of the mid-range guys. I mean, cool.
And then I had
super useful in playoffs.
Horford. I had Al Horford after him.
Yeah, see, we had Al Horford and CJ right in the same range, but instead of Al at 25, I have instead of Al at 25, I have him at a 27. But at 25, I have Siakam.
Okay, I'll never mind. We'll ignore that. I just saw something really dumb on Twitter.
No.
There was hashtag thank you JJ Abrams trending, and then you know how they show the little article sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
It just had MLB former Yankees pitcher Delling Betances agrees to a 1-year deal. And they're both connected to the same thing. And it's like, what the fuck do either of those things have to do with each other?
This is definitely a bug.
Twitter's fucking bugging.
But yeah, my 25 is not Big Al. It is Pascal Siakam. Who's honestly outperformed that spot. I thought that was a very fair and optimistic projection. I think he's top 20 now.
Oh yeah, I mean he's probably he's probably like 18 to 15 depending on the day, which is wild.
He's only getting better. My idea with Pascal was that was a little bit wrong. My idea was that he would basically be the same player he was last year, but just improve in a couple areas marginally, and it would take him over the top to be a reasonable number one option. His improvement as a shooter is
wild.
Yeah, I thought instead of getting better as a shooter, like off the dribble and from the top of the key and shit, like he's shooting like a guard now, and that is the last thing I expected, because last year, every time he caught the ball in the corner, which was like his favorite and most used spot to shoot last year, he would always hesitate. He never looked ready when he caught it. And I was saying all last year, if he was just ready to ready to shoot these corner threes on the catch, he would make one or two more a game. And that is a huge difference. But now he's like dribbling it up and just fucking pulling up like Steph Curry. And I'm barely exaggerating.
I want to show just how truly insane the difference in shooting is. So last year, he shot 37% on 2.7 threes a game. This year, he is shooting 39.2% on 6.3 attempts, which is a better percentage on more than double the attempts. And then, when you go to the assisted percentage, 98% of his threes used to be assisted. Now it's just 71. So what's that, a 17% drop-off? He's pulling up in people's faces. It's nuts. To open the year, it was actually lower than 71%, so that's gone up a bit. But, he's taking more difficult shots. He's taking more shots, and he's making more shots from three. It's wild.
And his handle's tighter. He's a little bit better on defense. I was
hoping his playmaking would get a little bit better, because I thought he could be like a 5 assists per game guy. He's only gone up by 0.5 a game, but that's fine. I was expecting playmaking to be his big improvement, not his shooting. But I think the shooting is definitely better. That's what I would have expected as well. Yeah, because if he's going to be like compared to Giannis, like he has been so much, if he can develop that jump shot, then people are going to start talking about him like he could be like the next big thing. If people are saying like B+ Giannis, but has a jump shot, that's crazy good. That's basically what I said in my video on him. Giannis, not as good, but a jump shot. and Pascal isn't as physically imposing. Every time I watch a Bucks game, I just always realize, like, because it's usually like a week or so in between each one, because I only really watch the good matchups because I know they're gonna fucking dominate the piss poor teams. So when I go and watch them against a good team, like, because it'll always be like a week or so in between, I'm like, oh yeah, Giannis is fucking gigantic. Like, I watched him go up against the Lakers, and he is legitimately like the same size as Anthony Davis. Like, that's just fucking nuts. He's as big as Anthony Davis, but he dribbles the ball like he's LeBron.
I got a fucking clown for telling this story in an NBA group chat a couple months ago, but I'll tell it again here. One time, me and my buddy, we were smoking, and we were shooting the shit about, just how big NBA players, I'm not a degenerate, god damn it. But we were just shooting the shit about, just how massive these guys are and stuff like that, and how much Giannis has grown, and how the Sixers were the only team that took the tell us the real heights thing seriously. And so we were debating like how tall Giannis really is. And we were like, I don't know, man.
At the minimum.
Yeah, it's like he's definitely approaching 7 foot. I personally think he's over. And so we put on the game where Eric Bledsoe and Joel Embiid got into it, threw some balls at each other. It was a whole big thing. They're wearing their super cool uniforms, their city editions. Really memorable game.
You mean the Cream City?
Just sitting... No, not the Cream City. The yellow and red ones.
Who the fuck thought that was a good idea?
Cream City. Who's the degenerate?
I didn't know
now?
Wisconsin was so horny.
I'll ask my Wisconsin bros if it's as horny as it seems from down here. But we were just staring at Giannis and Embiid at every moment that they were close to each other. And we were like, man, I think Giannis is even taller than Embiid. And we really convinced ourselves that Giannis is like 7'2" at least.
Well,
but then it came out that Embiid was like actually 6'10" or whatever.
He was 6'11".
6'11", and 6'11" and 3/4 or whatever. So like,
they were saying he was 7'2".
Could be 7.
They were saying he was 7'2", but yeah.
Shoes make a difference. Let's see. At 24, I have Mike Conley. We talked about him being underwhelming. Who's your 24?
I got my boy who I've been shitting on, Ben Simmons.
God damn, man. See, here's the thing. I watched your video, like I said a million times now, and even in your video, you say he's perfect at everything except shooting or something like that, or great all the way around,
well,
or almost
I also
perfect.
said
the highest of praise. And then it's like, but doesn't shoot.
He needs to be more aggressive because even without his ability to shoot, he should be an 18-point per game scorer.
He is the exact right amount of aggressiveness.
No.
I cannot stand this take. Like Cookies Hoops, I love referencing them. They're an excellent podcast. But Ben Dietrich was absolutely on the nose when he said that people saying that Ben Simmons doesn't want it enough is just completely incoherent. He wants it the exact right amount. Aggressiveness and wanting it enough are the same thing. And you can, if you ask, a boomer, they're never going to want it too much. You can want it as much as humanly possible, but that's a good thing. But you can be too aggressive. Joel Embiid is too aggressive on both sides of the ball. Ben Simmons is calculated and cold and doesn't really play like any other player we've ever seen and doesn't really care about getting buckets. It's just like the intangibles thing. He doesn't care about scoring. And that's why he wants it exactly the right amount.
Ben Simmons can get to the rim at will, but he only does it in the half court like 3 times a game. That's unacceptable. He can get to 18 points per game while still shooting above 50%, and it would be beneficial to his team. He's not aggressive enough. I don't know about this wanting it shit. That's a cliche term, but he definitely is not as aggressive going to the basket as he should be. And when he's not going to the basket with the ball in his hands, he's pretty fucking useless offensively, at least scoring-wise.
Yeah, for sure. Scoring the ball, all he can do is drive. But the thing is, to use your phrasing more or less, paraphrasing again, every other aspect of his game is almost perfect. Like he's an elite defender, elite passer. Like all he does is not score.
Can defend all 5 positions.
Yeah. And like really well too. I mean, if you would have put this guy in any era, he would dominate. And he's dominating in his own way now, but he just does it in like a super patient way. I would love to see Ben Simmons turn it on in the playoffs and, have like a 40-point game where he has 10 buckets under the rim that he scored at will, like you're saying, got to the line a bunch. Because he has that in him.
Before, with this intangible shit, what is ultimately most important is getting buckets. And the thing is, people disqualify Ben Simmons' ability to score because he can't shoot, but he can be an 18 to 20 point guy just purely off of his size and agility and speed and his handle. He can do what LeBron James was doing before in terms of going to the basket.
I think he's also like, yeah, I can feel that one coming. Bless you. But I
was trying to fight through what I was saying before I sneezed.
I could tell. But I think that Ben Simmons is really just not like worthy of the criticism that he gets, like, because it's just like it's a meme level of criticism, and it's not warranted. There's other players in the NBA who don't shoot.
There was too much criticism early on in his career, but he's in his 3rd year now, and the Sixers are trying to be a contender. They need him to be better than he was offensively than he was in his rookie year, and he isn't.
Maybe so. Scoring wise, for sure, all the way else around. Possibly some slight improvements here and there.
His playmaking is no better than it was. It doesn't need to be better, but it
right,
isn't.
It's already as good as it can get. I think the thing that he needs to improve on offense more than shooting, honestly, is his ability to finish with either hand in any situation, because he's always forcing it into his wrong hand. Like he shoots with the wrong hand, but then finishes with the right hand, but it's the wrong hand. Yeah, he just needs to fucking shoot right-handed. All right, let's move on from Ben Simmons. That's enough.
LeBron James is left-handed, and he shoots right-handed, and he's a pretty good shooter now. Yeah, to take multiple years to get there.
Yeah. All right, so 23, I have Kemba Walker, who I didn't want to put over Mike Conley, but I had to, and just,
it's actually wildly unknown that LeBron is left-handed. I feel like not as many people know that as they should.
Yeah, that's like a good NBA nerd litmus test is which hand is LeBron's dominant hand. And then if they're a real NBA nerd, they'll ask you, on the court or off the court. Oh, they'll know it's a trick question. But 23, I got Kemba. Who you got?
I had Victor Oladipo.
See, I like Depot. I don't like him that much. I knew he wasn't going to come back this year and make a gigantic difference. So I had him about 10 spots below this.
Shit.
But I could see where he could be this good.
I put a LaMarcus Aldridge photo in this video and forgot to do the, what do you call it? What's the fuck is the crop called? The, fuck. I hate that I don't know what it's called right now because it's very important to my videos. Now it's not going to show me. Jesus Christ. Ken Burns. That's what it is. I knew it was Ken Burns. I thought that was some celebrity and I didn't want to say the wrong thing. No, I shouldn't have known that as much as fucking, as much as I know about that type of shit. I should have just been like, oh yeah, Ken Burns, but I couldn't think of it either. Yeah, but next I had LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, and I had LaMarcus way lower than you. When we were making these lists, that was one of your biggest criticisms of mine, was that I had LaMarcus way too low, and you actually convinced me to take him out of the 30s and insert him into the 20s.
Yeah, but I think I would put him below Victor Oladipo.
Yeah, I would put him below Victor Oladipo as well if I could go back and change it. Let me touch on Kemba Walker a little bit, going back to number 23. Andrew Bailey, at Andrew D. Bailey on Twitter. I quote tweeted him recently. I don't know anything about him. I just saw this little tweet and really liked it.
He uses advanced stats to an obnoxious amount.
Right. And this is one of those things. He said, if you sort every NBA player with at least 300 minutes played as of December 23rd, by the average of their ranks in 10 quote-unquote catch-all stats, like real plus minus, Raptor rating, box plus minus, player impact plus minus, and game score per minute, as well as cumulative versions of each. This is the top 15, and it's a name of players who are all like really fucking good. Basically, the super advanced stats all getting thrown together to be like one rating. Here's how it goes. Giannis, James Harden, LeBron, Jimmy Butler, Luka Doncic, Kawhi Leonard, Dame, Anthony Davis, Karl Anthony Towns, Joel Embiid, Rudy Gobert, Kemba Walker at 12th. And then Niko Jokic, and then two big surprises, Montrez and Bam. But Kemba being there at his size, not really being able to make a huge impact on the defensive side of the ball is huge. Like, I cannot believe he's that good in the advanced metrics when he is not that good of a defender. You compare to the other 14 guys, they're all at least okay defenders.
Yeah, and there's a good example of why advanced stats are bullshit. I had Kemba Walker after LaMarcus Aldridge, a little bit higher than yours. I think that's, 20th?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that'd be after LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah, that'd be 21. My 22 is Bradley Beal. My 21 is Jrue. Jrue at 21 is obviously wrong. Bradley Beal at 22 could probably afford to go up.
I think people after that Portland series started to overrate Jrue Holiday.
Yeah, because him and Rondo did lock him up.
It does seem like that series elevated Jrue Holiday's play, which is what's weird. Like, his numbers went up after that series.
For sure. It's like he proved to the world that he can turn it on at any given moment on either side of the ball if he has help. So right now he doesn't have help, and he's sucking.
But after him, I had Klay Thompson.
See, I had Klay one spot ahead of you. Also with the asterisks.
This is way out of whack.
How so?
I think Klay is my 17th.
Oh, boy.
Because I have Russell Westbrook after him, and I know for a fact I put Russell Westbrook at 16.
Well, whatever. There's 2 or 3 people that are lost, so I'll work up to 16. I got Ben Simmons at 18, which is perfect because we've already talked about him.
That is too high.
Nah, I don't think it's high enough now. Alright, and so after some difficulty and fuck-uppery, mostly fuck-uppery, we are getting back into it. Let's just start at 20. I got Jimmy Butler.
You just say you're 20 and 19 because I don't want to go back.
Yeah. I got Jimmy and Clay. Yeah, you do. I got Jimmy and Clay. Clay with an asterisk, of course, because he's not going to play this year. I got Ben Simmons at 18.
Well, it was thought that he would play, but then everything fell apart really fast.
Mm-hmm. And even then, it was sort of like he could come back after the All-Star break. But then, after, I think, the first week in the season, they were like, he's probably not going to play all year.
Well, they were pretty optimistic that he would play 20 games. I think that's what the general consensus was. And then they were like, well, Steph's injured. We're not going to fucking play this dude.
Yeah.
Let's just tank the whole year and get a draft pick. But Klay Thompson, Kemba Walker, so I have at 18, and then Klay Thompson at 17.
Yeah, Kemba Walker is stupid good according to these stupid advanced stats, which we talked about, and I believe were actually managed to be caught on the non-fucked up recording.
Either way, it wasn't that important.
Yeah.
It was long enough, so.
My 17 is Blake. Been hurt this year. Doesn't matter that much. Who's your 17?
Klay Thompson, I already told you.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm dumb. I'm just so used to hearing numbers and names that it's all kind of blurring at this point. I blacked out 2 nights ago, actually.
No, that's fun.
16 is Rudy Gobert, dominant defensive player, but I couldn't justifiably rank him ahead of a guy like Kyrie Irving at the time. However, now, I wish that I would have ranked Kyrie Irving way the fuck lower and put Rudy up a little bit higher.
Yeah, I disagreed with you on that, but I don't want to go over it for the second time.
Yeah.
I had Russ at 16. I wish I had put him lower because I don't think he's any better than the 20th best player in the league. Russ, I think, can help you make a bad team a decent one, but he cannot make a decent team a great one, and he can especially not help a great team become an unbelievable one, as he's shown with the Rockets. And I also just don't think that he can help you win that much. So if I'm, putting guys above him, it's because I think they're also great, but they can help you win more. So that's basically it.
And see, you have Russ at 16, and I have Kyrie at 15. My Russ is all the way at 13. I'm a lot more apologetic towards Russ than you. I, again, would put Kyrie a lot lower, to repeat something I said on a broken recording. I compared Kyrie to Monte with a ring and a big shot on the back of LeBron. I thought that was a cool line.
But if you actually go back and look at my channel, there is evidence of me being a Russell Westbrook fan. So when I say that I criticize Russ because I'm disappointed in him, and that's 100% accurate, because there is literally a video of me saying that people should stop comparing Russell Westbrook to Oscar Robertson because what Russell Westbrook is doing is way better than what Oscar Robertson did. That's a video that I made.
Oh, damn.
And that was in his 2017 MVP season. You got to consider the context of the modern era. What Russ is doing is way more impressive than what Oscar did. So call me a Russ hater all you want. I made a whole video basically saying Russell Westbrook is better than fucking Oscar Robertson. So bite me on that.
Yeah.
Number 15.
Built a bulletproof defense.
Yeah. Number 15, I have Blake Griffin. He has not been that good this year. He's shooting less than 40%, and it's been almost 20 games now. So I think he's playing through injury, but even then that's a little rough. But I definitely think he was the 15th best player last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, for sure. He had the best season of his career by far and away last year. He's really one of my favorite players. He's one of those guys that just never stops trying to get better, and I admire the fuck out of that. He went from hyper athletic, who really cares about his skill, to hyper skilled.
I find point forwards who are power forwards more fun to watch than point forwards who are small forwards like LeBron. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. You got your Ben Simmons.
It feels more unnatural when it's a power forward, which makes it more cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Draymond always looks a little bit silly with the ball, even though he's small forward size, but we all know he's a big man. So, my 15th is Kyrie, like I already said. My 14th is Karl Anthony Towns. I thought this was a little bit high, but with him playing decent to okay defense now instead of horrible, and being one of the greatest
at an
offensive
MVP level offensively. Unfortunately, the Wolves suck. So,
right. I mean that
I
organization
don't really
is kind
think
of
there's
inept.
more than like 5 scorers in the NBA that are better than Karl Anthony Towns at scoring.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the list here, and I guess Harden, because he's technically scoring the ball. Kevin Durant when he's healthy. Steph. Maybe Kawhi. Maybe LeBron when he
I wouldn't
wants
even
to.
say Kawhi. I think Karl's a better scorer than Kawhi.
Yeah. He's probably a better scorer than Embiid, too.
Yeah, he definitely is. But 14, I have Rudy Gobert, and it was that thought on Towns, which is why I have him at 11. But 14, I have Gobert. I do not value defense as much as Rudy does, but Rudy, the co-host, not the player. But but Rudy is just so ridiculously impactful defensively that I think he gets to be up here amongst all these great offensive players.
Yeah, I do. My 13 was Russ, like I already said.
My 13 is Jimmy G. Buckets, who I miss dearly.
Yeah.
Baby, come back.
Yeah, and to repeat my lines now. I think that Jimmy G is not a bona fide superstar, but I think it's going to be kind of similar to those 04 Pistons come the postseason, where he's going to serve the role of a superstar, but still have a good enough team behind him that's well constructed enough to actually make a run.
The way they're built, Miami and Boston are the 2 teams that, for the first time in a while, I think could win without a superstar. Like win a championship.
Definitely.
It's just because I think those teams are so well constructed. Like the
Absolutely.
last team to do that was the Spurs in 2014. They didn't have a superstar, and then it was the 04 Pistons, and there was a decade in between those two. Like that's how hard it is. But I think Miami is constructed so well, and Jimmy Butler is just good enough that they could do it. I think Kemba, Tatum, and Brown and Hayward, like that's just so much talent, even though none of them individually are standouts. Having that much offensive talent on the court at the same time is insane. So I think both of those teams could win a championship in my tier 2 of contenders, but still I'd consider them contenders.
I would say that I would put the Heat a little bit ahead of Boston for me. I just tend to be more pessimistic towards Boston just because of how prolific their media machine is. Like I just tend to try to skew them down.
I would put Boston ahead just because experience.
I feel that. All right.
Miami has 2 rookies who are a core part of their team.
So Jimmy Butler is about to be a motherfucking moody Chauncey Billups. He's gonna be like the diva version.
Moody Chauncey Billups. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that Chauncey Billups was ever the 12th best player in the league, though.
Yeah, not like Draymond Green. It was who I had at 12.
No, man. Chauncey Billups is better than Draymond Green. But Draymond Green is not the 12th best fucking player in the league. That's for damn sure.
On the best night, he sure can be. We've exhausted
on the best
that
night,
conversation.
yeah, but I'm not. You don't judge these players by their best night. You judge them by their average night.
All right. My number 11.
Well, my 12 was Kyrie, by the way.
That's right. I don't understand the whole Kyrie hype. I would pick Russ over Kyrie today. Right now.
No, man. Here's the thing there. All right. I think once you get past and B Souls has made a great point about this. I think after you get past the superstars, when you're ranking them, it comes down to the question of who would be better as a second option. Because I think Kyrie makes a way better second option than Russell Westbrook does by a mile. Now, he's gone as far as to say that he would take CJ over Russ just because CJ is a better second option. I kind of agree with that because I would take a lot of players over Russ. Like
I would take
Kyle
CJ
Lowry over
and
fucking
like
Westbrook,
a complementary piece or two in combination over Russ if I was like a GM, but I would still choose Russ over CJ.
I understand
every
that
time.
logic, and that's kind of how I judge these level guys, where I'm like, who would I rather have when I have a bona fide superstar in my team to pair with? Easily Kyrie Irving. Easily Kyrie.
I understand that rationale. It makes sense. And me and you also have different functional definitions of superstar. Yours is
my
a lot more limited.
I think my definition is pretty simple, and it's that you could win a championship with them as your best player. And my list of superstars start at number 11 with Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, I think that's where the superstar list basically starts. I think it's more like
I would
15,
have 12.
16.
I would have 12 now because I'd put Luka up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I made a whole video on him where I think I said I have him at like the 8th best player in the league now. 7th or 8th.
Gosh, Luka is so good. I'm really looking at this list and trying to decide where my line is for how far down the list you go until you stop seeing superstars. And I think that the best player on a championship team can be pretty bad compared to the best of the best of the best if the team is perfectly constructed, a la Chauncey Billups, you know?
Yeah, but I'm saying like in an average down to like 20.
Yeah, I would go.
I'm saying like an average
20.
circumstance because like I think if you build a team perfectly around Jimmy Butler, he can be your best player. But like with like an okay team build, like an okay build around them, as far as like as okay can be, if you know what I mean. Like it's not a flawless construction.
Right.
Then I think these players after Cat and above can be that. Although number 10, who I have, Paul George, I kind of could see it needing to be pretty perfect for him. And what's sad is I think OKC should have been perfect for him, but Russell Westbrook had to go and fuck that up.
I don't know, man. I think it was more like Kawhi going and fucking that up by calling him up and being like, hey, man, you want to come to LA? It'll be real good.
Well, I'm talking about how they played in the playoffs that year.
Oh, gotcha.
And Paul George being injured didn't help.
See, I'm a lot more apologetic towards Paul George because his playoff shortcomings are very contextually informed. When he was with the Pacers, he was just super, super young and not quite ready or had ever been in that role.
People forget
so like when
that
he
dude was like
folds in
23,
Game 7,
24.
yeah, when he folds in Game 7 as a youngster, that's perfectly understandable. And then in all of his time in Oklahoma City, there was always something that explained a poor playoff performance. What's that?
He's had more years in his career post snapping his ankle than he has pre-snapping his ankle. And that doesn't feel like that's correct.
Oh, wow. You're right. It sure doesn't. That doesn't seem right at all, but you're right, aren't you?
And it's crazy that Paul George came from that injury and then last year had the best season of his career, because it looked like, based off of how he was playing in Miami...
If you don't count James Harden, because you shouldn't, because he's playing a different game, then Paul George led the league in scoring last year. You know?
Yeah.
On top of being a DPOY candidate, which is why I have him above 10 and why I have him above 11, which I skipped, I think. It's KD with an asterisk, but that's entirely unimportant.
As high as he...
My number 10...
high as he was scoring... As high as he was in scoring last year, I think his creating ability is a little bit lacking in comparison to the guys that are coming up next.
Right. And see, I'm willing to value that defense above that playmaking, because my number 10 is James Harden.
I wasn't just talking about playmaking. Damn, 10? That's rough, dude.
I don't believe James Harden. Like, there's a reason that literally nobody cares, like even Rockets fans, that he's putting up better scoring numbers than anybody ever. Like, it's because he's a hack. It doesn't scale to the playoffs. And come fucking May and June,
agree that
nobody's
his
going
numbers
to
make him look better than he actually is. But
yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't put him number 10.
I was so close to putting him outside of the top 10 just to have like the hottest of hot takes. But honestly, this list has so many hot takes shoehorned into it that this was like as honest as I could really be about Harden, is saying that he's exactly 10, the bottom of the top 10. Yeah, he's a top 10 NBA player, but he's fucking 10, and that's arbitrary. Depends on how good KD is when he comes back. That could knock him out for me. Because at number 9, I have Dame.
So do I. That's 3 that we got agreed on.
All right.
Damian Lillard, number 9.
Wrap it up, boys. We're going home. That's all we came here for. Is get those 3.
We'll probably get more than that.
Yeah, at this point, it's becoming more and more likely. Although, wouldn't surprise me if we were completely out of alignment here. I don't know your top 10 by heart.
I got Joel Embiid.
At 8, I have PG-13. So let's talk about Embiid a little bit. Embiid, definitely a dominant defensive player. He is not perfect on defense or offense. He's a little bit too aggressive. He wants it too bad. And
but offensively, he is pretty ridiculous. Like, he averaged like 28 points a game last year or something like 27, I think.
Yeah, like we talk about Karl Anthony Towns being a better offensive player than him, and like it is a difference, and it's one that's significant and worth mentioning. But with that being said, Embiid is by no means an at all
that's just a commentary,
offensive player.
That's just a commentary on how fucking ridiculous Cat is.
Right. Like, Karl Anthony Towns is cheat code.
My biggest gripe with Embiid is that he shoots too many three-pointers for his skill level.
Yeah.
Like, he
and
shoots
mine
4
is that he doesn't roll to the rim hard enough. He doesn't 30%. Know how to be in a pick and roll. If him and Ben could just spend a summer learning how to run a pick and roll, then that would be fine.
Yeah,
like, just have it in the arsenal, man. The fucking Sixers don't run pick and rolls, and that's okay. But like, once in a while, it's nice to have an extra tool in your bag to use that's like very reliable and easy to get to.
He doesn't get enough credit for his playmaking. He averaged 4 assists last year.
Yeah, man.
It's just because he's such a dominant post threat that teams bring doubles, and there's an immense value in him knowing how to pass out of that double without there being issues.
Right, which is why I think he needs to do it more often. He wants to force it over those guys. He wants to dominate. So passing is almost like a begrudging second thought. He's a lot better at passing when it's at like the top of the key to me. When he's like passing to cutters, when he's choosing not to just jack that 3.
Well, speaking of passing.
Oh yeah, here we go.
Next up, I got my boy Nikola Jokic.
As do I. Right here at 7, I got the yoke.
All right, that's 4. All right, fellow fat boys unite. Fat white boys. Fat, ugly white boys unite.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the best NBA player of all time who never jumps. I mean, like, this man's ridiculous.
Prime DeMarcus Cousins, there's a case for him.
Yeah, true, but, he jumps sometimes. Nikola never jumps. He, like, gets on his toes.
It was only cosmetic.
Yeah, everyone knows about Jokic. I heard a really, really fucking great joke on Roundball Rock, which is one of my favorite NBA podcasts. And I don't talk about it enough on here, actually. He said that Nikola Jokic has big middle school energy.
Yeah.
Just like the way he wears just like fucking novelty tees and sweatpants, and it's just a goddamn goofball.
Yeah.
And also just the way he looks.
Next, we get into a tier of players for me. I mean, you put James Harden 10, so clearly you don't agree. But I have a tier of NBA players where I just think the difference in talent between them is like not a big difference. Like, everyone else from here on out, I don't think it's that significant. Kevin Durant's not on this because I didn't expect him to play, because he's not playing this year. Clay was only in it because I expected him to play. Oladipo's going to play, so that's why he was on it. But everyone else from here on out, I don't think the difference in talent is that much. And at 6, I had Anthony Davis at the bottom of that.
Okay, interesting. I could see exactly why you did that because of your methodology with it being based on how last year left off. And with the conditions in which Anthony Davis left his team.
You really couldn't consider last year that much, though, because he barely played.
Right. But with that like being a factor
last year.
At all, it's like, it's hard not for it to, I feel like, influence a decision making like this, where you're like, all right, guys who are flat out dominant, like the best, margin of difference is very low. Who's the lowest? I guess Anthony Davis, As I put Anthony Davis all the way up at 4. My 6th was Joel Embiid.
He's a guy who hasn't proven anything yet.
Yeah, definitely.
He hasn't really had much opportunity, but
see, with my predictive methodology, I had the brow all the way up at 4 because I thought that him being next to LeBron would like bring out the absolute best in him.
He kind of has.
Yeah, and it has offensively for sure, 100%.
And you know what? My prophecy for Anthony Davis is coming true, because I made a whole video saying that he has a very similar career to Kevin Garnett. And I said he would go to a team and he would do what Garnett does and win a Defensive Player of the Year. And it's looking like he's probably going to win it this year if he keeps this up. And I don't even know
especially if the Lakers
that's
sustain
because
this
he really is the Defensive Player of the Year, but I guess the media is just trying to make it that way. But at the same time, I do think he's definitely worthy of it.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Rudy Gobert should three-peat as Defensive Player of the Year, but that's fine.
Yeah, if he's not going to make it All-Star, he definitely needs to get like crazy amounts of depoys.
Yeah.
I agree with your sentiment that
he hasn't been an All-Star. Dude, think about how fucking stupid it is that last year Nikola Vucevic was an All-Star and he wasn't. Rudy Gobert was not.
Yeah, it is stupid. It was also stupid that fucking D'Angelo Russell was a superstar. I mean,
when they announced that goddamn Team LeBron versus Team Giannis, that type of shit was going to exist, I thought that meant that would be the end of conferences having fucking anything to do with All-Star selections, but it didn't. It just meant that they wouldn't play East versus West. But when you go to select the All-Star teams, when you go to vote, it's still 15 players East, 15 players West.
Yeah, it's fucking silly.
It's bullshit.
Hopefully they'll keep up this Team LeBron versus Team Curry or whatever type of thing, and then also drop the conference requirements. I like the way the NBA is looking to shift things as far as like the norms that we expect.
But really, it should be the 30. I guess the rosters are 13 guys, right? In the All-Star game?
Yeah.
So it should be the best 26 players in the league, not the best 13 from each conference.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. Okay. At 6 for me, I had Joel Embiid. At number 5, I had LeBron James.
Harden.
Wow. Yeah, different James. We're on different James waves.
Well, at 4, I had LeBron.
Yeah. I mean, LeBron can definitely be the best player in the league on any given night. And I love that he's averaging above 10 assists. Like, that's fucking cool as shit. I think I made a prediction that would happen.
This is the first year he's doing it.
Yeah. It's like he's always been doing that in spirit, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, we see the 27, 7, and 7. We're like, that's like a triple-double. Let's see, LeBron at 5 for me. I wouldn't put him any higher than this at the time just because of the way that he fucking walks and doesn't try on defense during the regular season. But come playoff time, that changes, so whatever.
Yes.
What's that?
Hot Ones is going to have Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp on Thursday.
Damn, the only way that could be better is if they had a fucking Stephen A instead of Shannon, had a First Take reunion.
Yeah, that's going to be awesome. I love Hot Ones, and those two are entertaining, even though I don't watch their fucking show.
Yeah.
Oh my god, I want to see Shannon Sharp fucking die to some hot wings. That'll be hilarious. All right.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be animated as fuck.
Yeah, but at 4 I had LeBron. I think I still stick by that because the 3 players I have above him, I've had above him the whole year.
Yeah, I had Anthony Davis above LeBron at 4. I figured Bron would bring the best out of Anthony Davis, and because he's an elite defensive player as well as an elite offensive player, he is thus better than LeBron, who does not play defense during the regular season.
Well, he has been this year, at least a little bit.
Yeah. So number 3 for me is going to be Kawhi.
Stephen William H. Curry. I don't think that's his middle name. It's Wardell.
William. Steve Bill Curry.
I said William H. like he's a fucking president.
Harry S. Truman
Curry.
Curry.
William H. Curry.
Grover Cleveland Curry.
Grover Cleveland. That fat fuck.
Yeah, I choose Kawhi at number 3 because I figured, him and Paul George. Yeah, I know you know. I'm sure some people at home know for sure. I don't want to talk about Steph better until we get there. So
this is going to be the 4th one
Fifth.
that we agree on.
We got a starting lineup of people we agree on. We got
because I got Giannis at 2.
Yeah. Wait, I want to figure out who it is. It was Chris Middleton at 35. That was the first one.
We had Damian Lillard. I know that.
Yeah, and then we had Dame. So we have Chris Middleton, Dame, Giannis. That's 3. We had Jokic at 7. It's 4. And then... Fuck. What was the other one? Yeah, we had another one. It was
we had CJ McCollum.
CJ at 26. Dude, that's a good-ass lineup.
Yeah. Well, it's made up of 5 top 100 players, so yeah.
Yeah. Top 35 players. Yeah, I would say that Giannis at number 2 is perfectly fair. He's going to be number 1 for sure.
Thing eventually. Is, though, for most of this season, the season before this, like, top 100 list came out, was saying that Giannis is the best in the NBA. But the playoffs, because I'd pretty much had Giannis and Kawhi right next to each other. The playoffs made me put Kawhi over Giannis.
Yeah. And see, with my being predictive in nature, I figured Giannis would take another step and surpass Kawhi. But I would have had Kawhi over Giannis if I was doing it the same method as you as well.
Yeah.
I might have had Kawhi as the best player in the league if I was doing the same method as you.
Well, I'd felt for a while that Kawhi gets slept on a bit. Like, obviously people acknowledge him as a superstar, but I'm like, I don't think you guys really know just how fucking good this guy is. And for a while, I have been of the opinion that Kawhi is pretty much on the same level of Kevin Durant, and people pretty much think that's crazy. But when Durant was like killing it for the Warriors, I was like, I think Kawhi is just as good as this dude. He's not as natural of an offensive player, but at the end of the day, if he's still getting 28 points on 50% shooting, who really gives a shit? Who's more natural with it? And then Kawhi defensively is ridiculous.
Yeah, and what does natural even mean, you know? Like, that's just like a fluffy word that doesn't actually say anything. Nature.
It's true, but it's not a big deal.
It's like, I get the sentiment, but at the same time, you're also not exactly saying anything.
If you get the same production at the end of the day, who really fucking cares?
Exactly. And if it's exactly the same at the end of the day, then it's all natural to me. I don't give a fuck. But my number 1 is Stephen Curry.
They mean like it looks more fluid and less forced and all that.
Yeah. Like there's something being communicated there, but it's just not explicitly clear.
Durant is an all-time, he makes this shit look so easy player.
Yeah, most definitely. But I mean, fuck, Kawhi during the playoffs this past year with his infamous playoff run had lots of people saying robotic. That. Yeah, I mean,
he's a fucking robot.
But he looks like a robot that was programmed to play like Michael Jordan. That's the thing. Like elite defense,
it's like
elite shooting from everywhere on the floor.
We designed a robot to get fucking buckets. That's Kawhi Leonard.
Exactly. And then just play lockdown man-to-man defense. I think there was a quote one time. It just like showed how genuinely like incredible Kawhi is on defense, because he doesn't even understand how it's possible to be bad on defense because he's not a good help defender, right? He's arguably the greatest one-on-one defender maybe ever, but he's not a good help defender, and that's because he doesn't understand why his teammates need help. Like, I think there was a coach before. Yeah, I've heard that before. I think he said that coach was like, "Hey man, you need to get back and help." He's like, "Why can't they just stop them?"
He's like, it's so easy. I'm not even fucking trying out here and I'm destroying this guy. What do you mean, help?
I'm not programmed to understand this word. Help.
I need to download a software update to comprehend this information.
Please install new firmware now. He just opens his neck up.
Or
as a
please install
USB
new hardware
port.
And reboot for the help defense update.
Restart now. Just the Windows fucking noise. But yeah, I said Steph would be the best player in the league, but he got fucking hurt, so I got no chance to be proven right about that. I had some disingenuous asshole to me try to say that his shortcomings in like his 4 games played this season proved that he sucks and that he's a fraud and relies on Clay.
Oh my God,
and I'm like, dude,
idiots.
are you like, I don't believe you. I think you're lying to me, and here is why. And then he just didn't really provide a legit defense for himself. I'm
Dude,
like, all right, I think you're being a troll, so fuck you. Goodbye.
I don't know that there's any player in NBA history that seems to need to do more to prove these fuckers right. Like,
yeah, it's because he's fucking short.
Has had Steph Curry has had 3 of the greatest non-finals MVP performances ever. As a matter of fact, he's probably like 3 of the 5. Kobe has 1 of them. Like, he played at a finals MVP level, but one year he got fucking screwed because Andre Iguodala stepped up the most. Who gives a fuck if Steph Curry was still the better player? And then the other 2 years he had Kevin goddamn Durant, who averaged 35 points on 50-40-90, and then the next year averaged 28, 7 and 7 on 50-40-90. Like, what is he supposed to do? He played amazing. And in the second MVP year, second championship year with Durant, there is a debate that Steph Curry probably could have won that finals MVP if he had played just a little bit better in one game. Like, that finals MVP argument is so fucking stupid. Steph better.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. And I wish that we had the chance to see Steph do it all alone this year and see what he could do against a box and one for 82 games. Oh yeah, we didn't even mention he's the only NBA player in like the past fucking 20 years to have a box and one thrown at him in the postseason.
I'll be honest, I don't really know what that means, but I know it's a defensive strategy.
Yeah, it's literally like 4 guys stand on the corners of the paint, and then one guy plays like man-to-man on the perimeter on the one guy. It's like that 5 players are playing defense on one guy. Yeah.
That is interesting.
Yeah. That has been our top 100 compared. Who got it more wrong? Probably me, because of the nature of it all. Has a lot more room for error.
You had Hassan Whiteside as a top 60 NBA player. It's my automatic L. L.
Yeah, that's like a negative 100
I could have said that Lou Williams was the second best player in the league, and your list would have been worse for that.
Yep. I mean, like, honestly, there's a stronger argument for Lou Williams being the second best player in the league than there is for Hassan Whiteside being a top 100 player. Like, and it's a much stronger argument.
Maybe not top 100, but definitely not top 60.
All right, I'm going to make this devil's advocate ass argument right now. All right. So let's say we value Steph's ability to shoot and light up an offense as a small person as the most valuable skill in basketball. Who is the next most electrifying tiny guy? Probably Lou.
Well,
maybe Kemba.
It was Isaiah, but
yeah. But I mean, it's probably
Kemba. Lou Williams
it's definitely Kemba because he's actually super tiny too. But if you forget that Kemba is a player,
any player that's shorter than me, I'm amazed that they're as good as they are.
Yeah, man. JJ Barea
I'm taller than Kemba Walker. Yeah. But like Steph Curry is 6'3". That's when you're getting into the realm of like, all right, you're like about average height for a point guard.
Right. It's like you are an acceptable NBA height. You're a point guard.
6'3" is pretty much 6'3". Like 6'2" is like the minimal acceptable height where you're like, yeah, that makes sense. Once you get into 6 foot and 6'1", like Kemba Walker is, that's when you're like, dude, how the fuck are you doing this?
Yeah, that's where it becomes look like, do we even think this guy is over 6 feet? Like I was convinced for the longest time that Kemba Walker was 5'11", but he's like a solid 6 feet. Oh yeah, Fred VanVleet's fucking 5'11" max.
Yeah, and what's weird is he's not had the defensive issues that guys his height typically do.
Right, he's actually an excellent defender. He did really well on Curry in the finals. I don't know, is there small sample size.
Defender under 6 foot who's like a really good defender throughout history?
I mean, Muggsy Bogues was pretty much elite, but that was also like sort of a product of like the hand check era. So
he wasn't a great defender.
I feel like that's what he was most known for. Like, I'm not a NBA historian. I'm not going to fucking front like I'm super literate.
I'm pretty sure it was his playmaking.
Muggsy Bogues. Oh yeah, and also the ability to dunk. There's that.
All I know is he's fucking short.
Motherfucking 5'3". All right, let's just see his steals.
Hey, that's an NBA player shorter than your tiny ass.
Right. Fucking.
Well, steal and a half isn't crazy for a point guard.
Yeah.
It's not like standout.
Yeah. Whatever. It would have been cool to see him get like fucking 10 rebounds a game. Just like, oh wow, I never knew Muggsy Bogues was a rebounding 5'3" point guard. I'm gonna make that archetype on an old 2K.
This shit's over 2.5 hours long. We should probably wrap it up.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. Thank you for listening. Follow Rusty Buckets 321 on Twitter.
Wrap it
Subscribe
up,
to him
kids.
on
Don't
fucking.
want to get STDs.
Don't be silly. Wrap your willy. Thank you and good night.
No drugs, hugs.
No, drugs are good.
Smoke weed.
Drugs are good, for the most part.
Including heroin.
Be responsible. Heroin was legal less than 100 years ago and is now legal in the format of opioids.
Yeah, but also smallpox was common, so it's not everything and racism, like segregation and stuff. And like segregation and stuff. Yeah, it's bullshit. Or should I have stopped recording?